Hey there, guys, and welcome to another episode. We're kind of, the studio podcast, Voices on Social Challenges. Today I'm actually doing something different. As you guys know, the EPF ecosystem is full of different businesses and jobs, and within those businesses, of course, there are CEOs, so we're going to be interviewing them for about a couple weeks or so, just so you get an insight of who they are and what they actually do for the community that they work in and, I guess, live around. Today we're with JK to Toit, who actually is the founder of the Good People Data Company and runs it to day to day. So JK, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Today's a bit hot.
It is. Luckily we managed to sort the aircon challenge.
Yeah, no, definitely. First thing I want to know is, what is the Good People Data Company and what is a data company? Because I always hear this term around, like how Facebook is a data company, or you have apps that they have a data department in their business. What is actually a data company?
Well, a data company could effectively be anything where huge amounts of data is either generated, collected, processed, analyzed. So it's a very loose term. In our context, a data company effectively means that at our core, we are a credit bureau. If you give us an ID number, we can return 4,000 to 6,000 data points. And we use that to help companies and organizations better manage risk and make better decisions.
What is actually, like I heard you spoke about that term quite a while, like some conferences and videos I've seen of you. What is data point?
A data point is a specific reference point in data, and it could be something like your ID number, which is a data point. It could be something like your deeds file.
It was like similar to when you check your bank statement, like you can pick up when you purchase something like that?
Correct, yes. So what we can verify as an example is your account number linked to your ID number, linked to your branch code. And we can verify that bank accounts actually belong to you as an individual. So a typical bank account would have a couple of data points that we then reference and verify against.
Now, I know a lot of people that they don't really like the idea of data because it's invading privacy and all that. How does the Good People Data Company get around that idea to the customers, saying that we're not going to sell your data, we're just going to keep it for ourselves? Do you guys do that? Because my biggest concern with me personally, whenever someone says they have my data, I get worried what they're going to do with it.
No, and you should rightfully get worried, especially if they're responsible. So there's a couple of checks and balances we have in place to make sure that we don't abuse your data. There's something called the POPIA Act, or the Protection of Personal Information Act, which is now fully in force. And what that basically means is, if you provide me with some of your information or some of your data, I'm only allowed to use that data for a very specific purpose, which you should be aware of. You have to provide your consent for me to process the information, and I have to provide you as data subjects, as individuals, with a number of guarantees to say that I'm not going to take your data and then give it on to a third party. I will actually handle your data responsibly. I won't keep it for longer than necessary, and I will only process it for the purpose for which you provided the data to me in the first place. And we are audited on that. We are regularly checked. And then, of course, as a registered credit bureau, we have ad hoc audits from the National Credit Regulator, as well as the bureau supplying us data, to make sure that we stay responsible with your information. So if you provide information to friends, family, or individuals who may not be compliant, you may actually end up being a victim of identity theft, fraud.
Yeah, it's still a big thing today.
It's a mega thing. They estimate that identity fraud, just in South Africa alone, costs the economy more than R1 billion a year. The cost of fraud is 233 billion rand a year. So it just kind of tells you how much bigger fraud is, but identity theft is actually becoming quite a big issue as well.
I can see that you're really good at numbers and knowledge of how much a certain thing will cost and amount. Now I know you do have a background in accounting.
Yes.
So how did you go from accounting into, data handling, and how did the Good People Data Company actually start?
Oh, it's a very good question. So initially I trained as an accountant, did all my articles in London. Qualified, did what is known as CMA, so I'm a Chartered Management Accountant. Ended up working as a divisional accountant for a big listed firm in London, and I was then approached by a headhunting firm to manage one of the big banks as a key accounts guy for the Eastern Africa region, to align their core banking platforms and all the skills with the individuals required in order to come and execute. And what then happened was, in seeing how some of the banks were dealing with data, we effectively realized there was an opportunity for us to assist the banks to become a lot more effective in data processing and to quantify what risk actually means for a bank. If we employ a particular individual, what is the level of exposure to your organization? We needed data to do that. We landed our first contract in 2017 with a local insurance administrator here in
Sorry to interrupt you. Just hearing 2017 is just wild to think, because it was just a couple of years ago.
It's 5 years ago.
Yeah, it doesn't
I've
seem
known
like
you
it.
since you were this big. So we landed then, and then we very quickly realized that baseline data remains a mega challenge even for the big corporates, and that's when we then set out on a journey to fix the baseline issue, which included all of our basic data services, like credit bureau licenses, in order to help them derive more value from data.
Now I know you speak a lot about corporates, and it seems like everything you do pretty much is corporate based, but with EPF we do a lot of social work as well. So what is the Good People Day company helping to do, or do they focus on helping communities build up, or what is their, I guess, CIS project, or CSI?
Yeah, CSI.
CSI,
yeah. Investment angle. Right, so effectively what we're doing is we are assisting with the development of some of the platforms which will assist people, even at a grassroots level, to start building things like credit records, to get access to credit. We help informal businesses use our data to formalize themselves.
Oh.
So the moment that you move from an informal business into a formal business, you have access to a huge amount of additional data services and supports, potential banking services. You'll be able to apply for a loan, and we use our systems and processes to help people formalize what is currently quite an informal market.
So essentially you're like the middleman, but also the front man, well, the back man and the middleman all together.
Yeah, so all we do is we provide a level of trust and verification between the person that requires the funding and the person providing the funding, and we're just providing that level of comfort and trust between them. So there's something known as KYC, so know your customer, which is a key compliance component in actually providing things like loans, and there's certain screens that have to be done to prevent anti-money laundering, the funding of terrorist activities, and a whole bunch of stuff. And we just build that into the back end. So basically, when I say the back end, it doesn't mean the back end. What we mean is the back end of our software, so that the
I'm pretty sure the terrorists also like the back end of everything.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. But basically, what that means is the consumers of the data, so the companies providing the services to these organizations, know who they're dealing with, and there's a level of comfort that everything is compliant, the person is who they say they are, and they can actually afford to repay the loan based on certain input parameters.
Jacob, before we end this interview and stuff, I just want to, if I want to use you guys as a service, right, where do I contact you, or where do we find you guys?
Well, firstly, you're always welcome to come and visit our office. We are in 35 Ferguson Road.
Oh, funny, we're also at 35 Ferguson as well.
Believe it. Oh, wow.
Wow, it's so weird.
Big coincidence, but we're on the ground floor in 35 Ferguson Road, so please feel free to drop in for a coffee. For those of you that don't know, 35 Ferguson is in Ilovo, which is a part of Sandton in the Johannesburg area.
It's been weird because whenever I look at Google Maps, it says Ilovo and then Hyde Park, but then sometimes mixed. It's just a weird
Yeah,
thing.
it just depends on whether you've got your laptop the right way around.
And the even funny thing, because the office, it's on 35 Ferguson, but it's also on the corner of 35 Ferguson and Melville. So.
It is, yeah. Yeah,
It's always so weird.
I had an invite for somebody coming to the office tomorrow, and they said 35 Melville Road, because the term is actually off Melville Road, 100%. So that's where you can find us. You can go to our website, www.tgpdc.com, which is short for www.thegoodpeopledatacompany.com. It would have been way too long for anyone to type it out. So we just abbreviated it. So we just
that's smart. That's the innovative thinking.
All people are very welcome to reach out to one of our team members. You can find us on LinkedIn. We've got pages on LinkedIn. We're not very active on any of these social media pages.
But I think LinkedIn is one of the biggest platforms for any business really to just grow on.
Yes, right now, funnily enough, I heard TikTok is making a bit of a
comeback
on the consumer-facing side of business. We are B2B, so we're business to business.
Yeah.
Business to consumer. TikTok apparently is now the new way to start looking at the rental of properties and a whole bunch of other stuff.
To be honest, I've been seeing a lot of products on there, and I've been thinking of actually buying some of them. Yeah. Well, JK, thank you so much for coming on. It was nice talking to you. I'll probably see you around the office then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let's have a coffee.
Because surprisingly, we're both our offices are in the same place. Wow.
Yeah, what a place.
So cool. I think you just work just over there in the corner.
I do. Yeah.
But JK, thanks so much.
Well, thank you for having me.